Mountain West football enters week 5 of the season with 6 teams playing conference games on Saturday. Hi, I'm Jesse Kurtz in the Mountain West Network studio. To talk some college football today, we are pleased to be joined by National College Football Insider Brett McMurphy. Brett, appreciate you making some time for us today.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Recently, transfer quarterbacks have become all the rage across the college football landscape. Guys sweeping in onto campus to lead offenses for a year or two. But for the most part, Mountain West teams have cultivated quarterbacks from within, starting them early and then growing them within the system. You can look at examples this year at Brett Rippon of Boise State, Christian Chapman of San Diego State, Jordan Love at Utah State, Armani Rogers at UNLV, and Cole McDonald at Hawaii, just to name a few. You can even look back at recent seasons and look at Derek Carr of Fresno State and Josh Allen of Wyoming. In your opinion, what are the benefits to either approach?
Well, certainly I think coaches would prefer to have guys that have been in the program for a number of years. And when a guy leaves, graduates, moves on to the NFL, then you would replace him with somebody that's been in the system for a number of years. But currently, that's not how it's going. I think a lot of schools are going the free agent route, if you will, bringing in transfer quarterbacks that can play right away. We'll have to see long term if that ends up working out. But you look through the laundry list of quarterbacks who have transferred and had a great deal of success. Troy Aikman going from UCLA to Oklahoma, Scott Frost, Stanford to Nebraska, Colt Brennan, Mountain West fans familiar with him, going from Colorado, being successful to Hawaii. You've got a couple of Heisman Trophy winners. Cam Newton and Baker Mayfield won Heisman trophies at schools that they didn't start out at. But then on the flip side, there are a lot of high-profile guys that haven't worked out. Jacob Eason goes from Georgia to Washington, really hasn't done much. And again, with Mountain West ties, Drew Brown started 22 games with Hawaii. He transfers to Oklahoma State. He's yet to even play it down in Stillwater, and a lot of people thought that he would be the starting quarterback there. I think each situation is different. I think coaches, if you have them drink truth serum, they're going to admit they'd rather have a guy that's in the system that has come up because they know the expectations, they know the way the program is run, but sometimes there's simply a drop-off in talent, and so they go out and try to find these high-profile quarterbacks, and certainly with Bryant leaving Clemson, there's going to be a lot of these guys on the market this year.
Right now, there are 22 coaches across the country that are currently leading their alma mater, 5 of whom are in the Mountain West, most of any conference in America. Look at Troy Calhoun of Air Force, Brian Harsin of Boise State, Jeff Tedford of Fresno State, Nick Rolovich at Hawaii, and Matt Wells of Utah State. Of course, it's always fun to come home, but with that comes a lot of pressure. What sort of challenges do you see that present themselves in leading one's alma mater?
Certainly, I think the expectations are probably a little bit higher because they have ties to that school. I had a chance to talk to Pat Fitzgerald this summer, actually about this very subject, and he said one of the benefits is after the game when you win and you're walking through the parking lot, everybody's kind of coming up to you and giving you a cold beverage and congratulating you on the back. But when things don't go so well, people, aren't hesitant to come up and speak their mind also. I do think that it works really well for a lot of schools to have their head coach being that's their alma mater, because I think it feels more like it's a family situation there. I think those coaches, although everyone's different, it's less likely that maybe they would jump to another job or look to leave if everything they can accomplish is there, if they feel like they have the resources, the ability to compete for a national championship or a conference championship. I think they would prefer to coach for their alma mater. And certainly the Mountain West has a large number of guys that have had a great deal of success.
I look at playing defensive back as probably one of the toughest positions in all of sports right now. These quick pace tempo offenses are dominating and scoring a lot of points at this point in college football. Has the pendulum swung too far in favor of the offenses right now, or is this exactly what the sport needs?
Yeah, I don't think it's because of any big rule changes. I think simply the run-pass options have given the offense the advantage. You go back to 2000, Back then, the average scoring per team was 26 points per game. That was actually an NCAA record. You go to 2016, teams were averaging more than 30 points a game, and we're on that pace again this year. I think it goes back to everybody running the spread offense. You have so many defenses now that have had to get smaller and quicker, and because of that, I think it's opened up for the offense. Another telling stat, only 17 of 130 FBS programs this week have thrown more interceptions than touchdown passes. So there's a lot of success throwing the ball. And not surprisingly, of those 17 teams that have more interceptions thrown than TD passes, only one has a winning record, and that's UAB. So I think it's just basically the game continues to change, and as long as the defenses have trouble catching up with the run-pass option, I think we're going to see continued scoring, even though I noticed the officials during the game trying to speed the game up. When a guy gets tackled, it looks like he's out of bounds, they still keep the clock running. But defensive coaches usually figure out a way to catch up with offense, but it certainly seems like it's taken a while with the way that the run-pass option has taken over college football.
Once again, the Mountain West is full of fun and exciting stories here this season that we're following. The resurgence of Hawaii, Fresno State under Jeff Tedford, that rise continuing now in year 2. San Diego State continuing to churn out those elite running backs, and Boise State's Brett McMurphy chasing all-time program records in his senior year on the blue. What are some of your favorite storylines and impressions of this league here in 2018?
Yeah, so far the Mountain West has been really impressive. Fresno State goes in and thumps UCLA in the Rose Bowl. You have San Diego State with a big win against Arizona State. Those wins have been very impressive. Matt Wells' Utah State Club went up to East Lansing, could have beat Michigan State, maybe should have beat Michigan State. I think that speaks volumes for the program that Matt's building at Utah State. UNLV, they do lose at USC, but they put up 405 yards offense. That's more yardage than both Texas and Stanford accomplished against USC. In New Mexico, Calvin McGee, I think he's one of the most underrated coordinator hires in the country. Bob Davies' previous years in New Mexico, they've never averaged more than 124 yards passing a game. New Mexico's up to 207 yards passing a game this year. They have 7 TD passes after 3 games. They only had 8 all of last season. You mentioned Fresno State, Jeff Tedford, one of the best offensive minds in the country, but the Bulldogs are doing it with defense. They were the number 2 defense in the Mountain West last year. This year they ranked number 1. And then the resurgence of Hawaii. Already 4-1 this year, exceeded last year's win total with 3 wins. Cole McDonald has had an unbelievable year. 20 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Brett McMurphy, 10 touchdown passes, no interceptions.
Well, Brett, thank you for your time and your insight and joining us here on the Mountain West Network here today.
Thank you.
That's National College Football Insider Brett McMurphy of Stadium. You can also follow him on Twitter at Brett_McMurphy. This feature has been brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union, the official credit union of the Mountain West. From the Mountain West Network studio, I'm Jesse Kurtz.